things together. And also we pay a lot of attention to the Canada's memorandum of understanding with the Philippines for the defense cooperation. And Japan also signed the agreement with Malaysia and the Philippines for the procurement of the surveillance equipment. So all together, Canada and Japan working together for the betterment and also peace and stability of the region.
Merci, Excellence.
Thank you, Mr. Ambassador. We'll now go to Ms. McPherson for 6 minutes.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Your Excellency. This has been very interesting. I was in Hiroshima actually just before the G7 with ICAN on nuclear disarmament, so it was not long enough, and I look forward to being able to be back in Japan. I met with many members from the Japanese Diet, and it was a wonderful experience. You have spoken a little bit about Canadian energy and the need that Japan has, and I would like to hear a little bit more. I mean, you've been very kind about how the Indo-Pacific strategy is beneficial to both Japan and Canada. I'm from Alberta, of course, an energy creating province, and I'm just wondering, you spoke a lot about liquid natural gas and oil, but could you talk a little bit about the opportunities with regards to critical minerals, the opportunities with regards to hydrogen, both blue and green hydrogen, and what that could look like within the framework of the Indo-Pacific strategy?
I see. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Ms. McPherson. My hometown is Nagasaki. So I share that your feeling of the peace, and also that's very important to make commitment for never again for that kind of accident. The thing. And regarding this critical minerals and the new source of energies, I will tell you that the Japanese companies are very much interested in the blue ammonia in Alberta. Because as I just mentioned, all the countries, including Japan and also Canada, were committed to fulfill the carbon neutral by 2050. So it's 2024. We have 26 years. But we have to have the progress for those new source of energies, and ammonia has enormous potential. And I do understand the price of the natural gas, which is the ingredient for the ammonia in Alberta, has a very strong price competitiveness. And the great location for the CCS, carbon capture storage. So they are paying a lot of attention to that. So in that sense, the Alberta has a enormous, big potential to help the country to achieve the goal of carbon neutral.
Wonderful. And then in terms of those areas where I guess I know it's difficult as you are the ambassador to Canada, but where are those areas within the Indo-Pacific strategy that Canada could be stronger? Where are the areas that you would see us perhaps investing a little bit more or taking a little bit more urgent action? I know that the rollout of the Indo-Pacific strategy was a year ago, and we have heard from other witnesses that it has perhaps not been as quickly rolled out as it could have been. So I'm wondering from your perspective, and I know that is a difficult question for you to ask, but perhaps you could frame it around some of our engagement on energy, some of our engagement on post-secondary students, whatever makes sense to you.
Thank you very much. Thank you for asking me a tough question. But in the Pacific strategy, as you know, there are the five sort of pillars. So namely the promoting peace, resilience, and security, and expanding trade and investment, and then investing in connecting people and building sustainable and green future, and Canada as active and engaged partner to the Indo-Pacific. I think that is very comprehensive. So when it comes to this kind of comprehensive plan, it's very easy to point out this is not enough. And as I just mentioned, historically, this country has enormous ties with the European side and Atlantic side. But this is the first time in history to have this kind of a comprehensive strategy to address in the Pacific. It's only 1 year and 2 months. And I think I find, and also the Canadian government is committed like a $2.3 billion investment to achieve this Indo-Pacific strategy for the first 3 years. And I think that is a strong commitment. And nothing is perfect in this world. I think it's half full, half empty. we could discuss half empty.
Maybe 3/4 empty. We can refill it for you.
But so I have strong expectation that the Canadian government and the people and also private sectors and academias are working for that. Because the future of this country, also, of course, lies in Atlantic side, but also at Pacific side. And I think all those measures laid out in the strategy is very right things. But it may take some time. But I think I'm very glad that Japan is part of it.
I could ask you one more hard question because I only have a little bit of time left, but perhaps you could comment. You know, we are looking at the potential impacts of a Trump presidency in the United States. How is that being felt in Japan? How is that being predicted? The outcomes of that, or are you also not predicting very much because it's very difficult to know?
So, Ms. McPherson, I was in Washington, D.C. as economic minister between 2013 and 2016. And not only Canada and Japan, but also many other countries, they pay attention to the presidential election in that country. Sometimes it is very difficult to make comment on the actual election in this public place. But I understand each country is watching it very carefully, studying carefully, and preparing for that.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Ms. McPherson. We'll now go to our second round, starting with Mr. Chong for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Ambassador, for appearing in front of us today. I noted that the G7 communique signed in Hiroshima, agreed to in Hiroshima, indicated the need for increased deliveries of liquefied natural gas and acknowledged the need for greater investments in LNG projects. You mentioned that Japan is reliant for 87% of its energy needs on energy imports. You also mentioned that Japan will be purchasing about 2.1 million tons of the 14 million tons that are coming online when LNG Canada goes live. Bloomberg recently reported that long-term LNG supply contracted by Japanese buyers will decrease by 30% or 55 million tons from 2022 by 2030, only a short few years from now. Last November, Bloomberg also reported that the Ministry of Economy, Trade and Industry is pushing Japanese buyers to sign more long-term LNG contracts to insulate Japan from future supply shocks as well as potential harsher sanctions against Russian LNG. So in that context, can you tell us how interested your government is in securing additional LNG supplies in terms of long-term contracts or spot markets from Canada? Is LNG Canada enough, or would Japan be interested in purchasing even more LNG from Canada?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chong. And the energy security is a very important element for the national security. And also, as I just mentioned, we need import a source of energies from all over the world. And the important thing is we do have the portfolios, not just depending on too much to a single country. In that sense, Canada is emerging. And I do understand Canada has exported its natural gas only to the United States. And this LNG Canada is a big game changer for Canada too. And first thing first, I do understand the first phase will be completed probably in the middle of the 20s. And hopefully that will start soon. Then that would lead to the second phase. And I think the government is always supporting to the Japanese companies to sort of diversify its source of energies. And also we are carefully watching all those the discussions in this country regarding oil and gas in terms of the decarbonization. But I do think this, given the complexity of the geopolitics, the energy security and geopolitics and economic security is coming together. So we have to be very careful. We have to make sure that we have to be very smart to utilize all those possible sources.
Okay. Japan is increasing its military spending to 2%, as I understand, by 2027. In that context, Can you tell us what Japan's position is on Taiwan with respect to a potential attack on Taiwan? Is Japan's view to be neutral if Taiwan were to be attacked by another state, or does Japan have a different position on Taiwan?
That is a very, very tough question. But I would give you the same answer to Mr. Kimmich. And I will repeat, the peace and stability in the Taiwan Strait is very important, not only for the security of Japan, but also the stability of the international community as a whole. And there has been Japan's consistent position for a long time that it expects the issues surrounding Taiwan to be resolved peacefully through dialogue. And also based upon this recognition, the Prime Minister Kishida took a lead at Hiroshima for the G7 leaders, coming up with their statement regarding Taiwan, urging their peaceful resolution if any issues are there, and also importance of the peace and stability of the Taiwan Strait. Having said that, the Japanese government takes every possible measure to make sure that they protect Japanese people and the land and the people, prosperity. And that is about Taiwan. Regarding the defense spending, if I say it, by 2027 fiscal year, the Japanese government intend to increase up to the 2% of the GDP of the size of 2022. That is virtually the doubling of this defense spending. And that is supported by the people, because we see the complexities and the difficulties in the security situation surrounding Japan.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chong. We'll now go to Ms. Lalonde online for 5 minutes or less.
Thank you very much. And I certainly want to say thank you very much, Mr. Ambassador, Your Excellency, to come before us today. And I also wanted to ask a little bit about the national security strategy of Japan, which you highlighted in so many ways regarding the measures that both our countries are taking to enhance the security cooperation. So thank you for that. And maybe I'll follow up a little bit on as part of this outline in the strategy from December of 2022, the national security strategy of Japan. I would like to hear a little bit possibly about when you think about the strategy on the diplomatic efforts, the participation of Japan in the people-to-people and the cultural exchanges, what are some of the outcomes of Japan's effort regarding participation in the people-to-people and cultural exchanges that you could highlight for us this evening?
Thank you very much. It's a very, very important question on the people-to-people exchange. Yes, so to enhance the relations between Canada and Japan, top leaders' relations and the friendship and trust is inevitable. Very important. But at the same time, grassroots and people-to-people exchange also cement the friendship and trust among the people. And I would like to share one special initiative about what we call JET program. That stands for Japan Exchange and Teaching Program. I started about 35 years ago regarding Canada. And Canada has more than 10,000 students who participated to that JET program over the 35 years. And that makes Canada the third largest participant to that JET program. That is one good example to enhance our exchange. And also Japanese people are coming to Canada through working holidays and other schools. And those are very, very basic